Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests from around the globe, welcome to today's exciting virtual panel session, Innovative Islands, Caribbean and Pacific Greenpreneurs Scaling for Impact. My name is Esther Bates and I am GGGI's Project Manager for the Pacific Green Entrepreneurs Network based in Fiji. Over the next hour, we will be embarking on a journey to explore the pioneering spirit and environmental stewardship flourishing in small island developing states in the Caribbean and in the Pacific. So in a world where sustainability and environmental consciousness are paramount, these islands stand out as hubs of innovation and resilience. The session promises to be an inspiring experience as we witness 4 visionary greenpreneurs here today, each presenting bold business pitches that hold the potential to transform our islands and address the pressing challenges of climate change faced by small island developing states. So beyond showcasing innovation, this event is about igniting change. Our panel of experts is here not only to provide feedback, but to offer some vital guidance, enabling these greenpreneurs to navigate the complex path of scaling for impact. So as we start on this journey together, let us remember that the success of these greenpreneurs is linked to our engagement and support. Their journeys are a reflection of our commitment to a sustainable future. And today we have the privilege of being more than just spectators. We are active participants in the transformation of our islands and our planet. So thank you for joining us today, and let's explore the innovative islands of the Caribbean and the Pacific, where greenpreneurs are scaling for impact and paving the way towards a sustainable tomorrow. So we have a jam-packed hour ahead. And firstly, to set the scene, my colleague, if we can move to the next slide, my colleague Laura John will start off the session with a brief introduction of the Pacific and Greenpreneurs programs that the Global Green Growth Institute is running. We'll then introduce a panel of experts, providing their credentials and areas of expertise. This will establish to share and set the stage for the feedback that they'll provide to the greenpreneurs later in the session. We'll then turn the floor to the 4 greenpreneurs to present their innovative business pitches. And each greenpreneur will have 5 minutes to showcase their vision, their mission, and the impact they plan to create and are creating through their ventures. So following the greenpreneur's pitch, the panel of experts will provide some feedback and guidance on scaling and growth. We'll then have some closing remarks delivered by GGGI's Pacific Regional Managing Director, Ms. Katerina Singalakis. So without further ado, let's get started. I'd like to invite my colleague Laura John, who is the project officer for the Eastern Caribbean Entrepreneurship Initiative based in St. Lucia, to provide a brief overview of the Pacific and Caribbean programs. Over to you, Laura.
Thank you very much, Esther, and good day, good evening to all of you who are joining us today. I will be jumping right into things because 60 minutes will go by rather quickly and there's so much good stuff to get into. I first want to start off by defining this term greenpreneurs, because you're going to hear it a lot today. Greenpreneurs stands for green entrepreneurs. And these are defined as people who contribute in some way to addressing environmental and social problems, green businesses, through their green businesses. So it includes, but is not limited to, selling products that offset or reduce imports, selling sustainable or renewable energy or energy efficiency products. It could be farms or food production businesses that use organic or regenerative agriculture techniques. It could also be businesses that address social issues where they support vulnerable populations like youth, women, and the disabled, or work towards reducing inequalities and poverties. So beyond creating profit, which of course is an important pillar, they are very much geared towards addressing the social and environmental pillars as well. So these are green entrepreneurs, or who we are celebrating today, our greenpreneurs. Next slide. As we gather here today, we find ourselves at a critical juncture in human history. We are at a watershed moment in the fight against climate change, where continued dismissal or lackluster remedies continue to pose severe threats to our environment, our economies, and our way of life. We are confronted with an urgent need for swift and meaningful action to address these man-made challenges. It is amid this backdrop that the role of micro, small, medium enterprises takes center stage. These enterprises are often the lifeblood of economies around the world and are proving to be innovative and resilient in the face of climate-related challenges, as well as changing economic landscapes. MSMEs are the engines of job creation, fostering entrepreneurship and innovation. Yet it is their adaptability and agility, by virtue of their small size, that makes them particularly well suited to address the complex and evolving environmental, social, and economic issues we are currently facing. From local green startups to small manufacturers adopting sustainable practices, MSMEs are driving transformation from the ground up. Next slide. And as such, there are opportunities abound for MSMEs within this current climate just described, with a plethora of incubator and accelerator programs, increased access to investment, venture capitalists, angel investors, also, and perhaps to a lesser extent, increasing green financing mechanisms through more traditional financial institutions are all coming to the forefront. However, not all businesses are able to tap into these opportunities. For MSMEs in small island developing states located in regions like the Caribbean and the Pacific, this is a hard reality. Now, there are certainly many differences between the Caribbean and the Pacific regions, and even among the countries themselves. However, there are significant similarities and socioeconomic and environmental challenges that they share by virtue of being small island developing states. As SIDS, they are by definition economically, geographically, socially, and ecologically vulnerable to natural and anthropogenic shocks. As a result, their climate vulnerability makes them not ideal for investment, and it also makes it difficult to sustain a business. This further exacerbates access to finance. The small populations, less than 2 million people in the Pacific Islands and less than 200,000 in countries within the Caribbean. These small populations mean you have small markets and therefore very real challenges when it comes to scaling your business. We also see significant loss of skilled and talented people leaving those regions, seeking opportunities in more developed countries. Additionally, there's a high reliance on only a few sectors like tourism and hospitality and agriculture. The lack of diversification makes them economically very vulnerable. And in addition, they often face gender and social inequalities. In recognition of these challenges that prevent green entrepreneurs in SIDS from taking advantage of the current climate, and in alignment with GGI's vision to support inclusive and sustainable growth, we, along with our donor, the Qatar Fund for Development, have made the collective commitment to support and collaborate with MSMEs in small island developing states through our Greenpreneurs program to level the playing field so that they too may be instrumental in shaping a future where economic growth is harmonized and environmental conservation and social equity created as a future for all. Next slide, please. The Greenpreneurs program in the Eastern Caribbean region is called the Eastern Caribbean Green Entrepreneurship Initiative. It is a 3-year project funded by the Qatar Fund for Development and consists of 6 participating OECS countries: Antigua and Barbuda, the Commonwealth of Dominica, Grenada, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, and the Grenadines. In the Eastern Caribbean, GGI works in partnership with the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, which also happens to be the first regional organization that has membership to GGI. We also have partners with national governments within each participating country, financial institutions, and very importantly, business support organizations on the ground. Next slide, please. In the Pacific region, the Greenpreneurs program is called the Pacific Green Entrepreneurship Network. Participating countries include Kiribati, Fiji, Papua New Guinea, Samoa, Tonga, and Vanuatu. Similarly, both programs aim to provide over $1 million in financing to small, early stage businesses and growth stage businesses through our various projects. Next slide, please. Both the Caribbean and Pacific Greenpreneurs program include incubator and accelerator components. Incubator program targets existing innovative early stage businesses, including women-owned firms with demonstrated growth potential that are in pursuit of scalable and repeatable business model. We provide capacity building through training, mentorship and coaching support, networking opportunities, and access to securing seed grant funding through our business plan competition. Our accelerator program supports growth stage businesses, as well as very promising early stage businesses. Here we have access to financing through our repayable grants or interest-free loan component, where businesses can access up to $50,000 US. We focus heavily on investment readiness, so we provide links to investors through networking and pitching events like our Investor Roundtable. We also provide learning opportunities and further access to mentorship and technical assistance, again, with the aim of increasing investment readiness. Lastly, or the third component, is our entrepreneurial ecosystem development, which is really geared towards supporting sustainability of the program and the work that we're doing beyond the 3-year life of this project. So the focus here is to provide training to business support organizations on the ground, to establish networking and mentoring platforms so that once this project ends, there is still a framework in place for the continued support of our greenpreneurs and the ecosystem needed to keep moving forward. It should also be mentioned that both the Pacific and the Caribbean programs prioritize women entrepreneurs and great job creation for women, youth, and persons with disabilities. Next slide. We are now in the last leg of our 3-year program, and we have lots of great achievements to celebrate. First and foremost, we have disbursed just under $500,000 US in funding to early stage and growth stage businesses. And we are well on track to disbursing an additional $1 million by December of 2023. We have trained over 500 greenpreneurs. We have supported over 250 youth-led and female-led businesses and contributed to direct jobs by over 600. So in 3 years, we've had quite an impact, and we know that we will continue to see the results of this work in the years to come. It is imperative that we fast track this transformative climate solutions that are being brought to the forefront by our small businesses. We need to harness the innovation and the power of this private sector. In today's session, we will feature 4 innovative and inspiring greenpreneurs from the Caribbean and Pacific, pitching their impact-driven green businesses to a virtual panel of global experts in the startup ecosystem. This demo day style session is intended to inspire the audience with the innovative and transformative green business ideas, excite them up with the potential for scaling these opportunities, particularly potential investors, partners, policymakers, and other ecosystem players at the global level to leverage the significant global platform that this GGG Week provides. Experts with experience supporting the scale-up of high-potential, impact-driven enterprises will offer their practical advice for unlocking the growth potential of these enterprises. So on that note, I will hand back over to my colleague Esther so that we can get to the fun stuff listening to these pitches. Thank you, Esther.
Thank you, Laura. If we can move to the next slide, please. So that's been some really useful context for the rest of the session. And just before we begin to hear from our greenpreneurs, I'd like to briefly introduce our expert panel who are eagerly waiting in the wings to hear the business pitches and will be providing feedback afterwards. So in no particular order, first we have Mr. Kusi Hornberger, who is a partner and global knowledge lead at Dalberg, and which is a specialized impact-first advisory organization. Kusi has led more than 200 client engagements with leading family offices, foundations, development finance institutions, and investment intermediaries on how to deploy their capital with impact. He has over 20 years of experience in investment, strategy, and project management across diverse sectors and regions, with a focus on blended finance, impact evaluation, and results-based finance. He is also the author of a new book called Scaling Impact, Finance and Investment for a Better World. Thank you, Kusi. Second, we have Ms. Keisha Farnham, who is the Director for Public Sector Projects from the Caribbean Climate Smart Accelerator Program. Keisha is an experienced organizational and project management professional with over 19 years of experience, focused on innovation for growth across a variety of sustainable development sectors. She has worked across 28 countries, and her work has traversed several thematic areas, including climate change, eco-agritourism, regenerative agriculture, active labor market stimulation, as well as education and leadership development for the public and private sector. Currently, as the Director of Public Sector Projects with the Caribbean Climate Smart Accelerator, she continues to work to catalyze a multi-sector network that includes the private sector, public sector, academia, various industry sectors and economies, and the community across the region and internationally. So welcome, Keisha. And last but certainly not least, we have Mr. Gerard Field, who has over 30 years of experience in the finance industry, including over 20 years with HSBC Bank. As a senior executive and working internationally in the banking industry, most recently as CEO of an international bank in Rarotonga in the Cook Islands, he brings a breadth of knowledge and experience to servicing clients around the world. His areas of expertise include executive leadership, results delivery, client relationship management, and change management. He's a member of various things, including the Institute of Directors, Chartered Accountants, the Australian and New Zealand Chartered Accountants, and a member of the Institute of Finance Professionals for New Zealand. He's recently been supporting the Pacific Greenpreneurs Accelerator Program as a business advisor through the support of Volunteer Service Abroad. So we're very grateful to have the esteemed expert panel joining us here. And as you, I'm sure, would agree with me, with a significant amount of wisdom and experience between them. And we look forward to hearing from them later. We'll now move forward to the Greenpreneurs business pitches. So due to time limitations on this session, each Greenpreneur will have a strict 5-minute time limit for their business pitch. My colleague will play a sound and alarm at the 4-minute mark warning, and they'll receive an alarm to indicate the time is up at 5 minutes. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome our first Greenpreneur to present, who, if we can move to the next slide, who is Mr. Ricardo Boatswain, who's a Managing Director of SoLife Inc. So in efforts to contribute to the world action of reducing carbon footprint, Mr. Boatswain has founded the company SoLife Inc., which is a privately held EPC company located in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. With dedication and a devoted team, he has successfully completed approximately 3.6 megawatts of solar system installations in the islands of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and has consulted or assessed over 40 megawatts of solar systems regionally. Ricardo, over to you.
Hey, a power outage for many days or weeks due to unforeseen circumstances can be a matter of life or death for many. That's why energy security is one of the most important facets of our modern living. Next slide. Yeah. Next slide, please. My name is Ricardo Boatswain. I started this company approximately 12 years ago to address the rising fuel prices that translated into high electricity bills for homes and businesses. Next slide, please. Over the years, we have grown to provide services for all our customers. Next slide, please. In-house financing with affordable options for qualified residential customers, resources for commercial partnerships, and deployment of capital for development, solar development. Next slide, please. Presently, we are developing a 330 kilowatt project that has gained all necessary approvals from both the utility and government. We have also completed 50% of the procurement required for this project. Next slide. In addition to our solar PV rooftop developments, we have realized that as impactful as solar PV applications are, there is more that we can do. I've looked at a resource that we have christened as a natural resource, add to our renewable ecosystem for energy security. And that resource is, next slide, waste. Waste occurs naturally once humans are on this earth. Therefore, waste to energy is naturally occurring resource and a renewable source of energy with the use of technology. Next slide. Our small islands have surplus sunlight, surplus waste, to provide electricity synergistically for many years. Next slide. In addition to our solar PV rooftop developments, we have added a waste to energy pilot project. These systems are modular and scalable for turnkey deployment and grid integrations in 6 to 8 months. Next slide. We are seeking funding of $2.6 million to complete our rooftop solar PV project, our waste to energy plant in 6 to 8 months timeline. Next slide. Next slide, please. Some of the challenges that we have faced over the years, lengthy approval process for development, slow adoption of renewable energy investment products by financial institutions, and a garbage sorting adoption program for national awareness. All these challenges have been addressed, and protocols are in place. Again, my name is Ricardo Boson. I want to thank you for having me present today. And any feedback on how we can expedite these projects will be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ricardo. Well done with timing as well. That was really good to hear about your very exciting business. Awesome. So I would now like to invite our second Greenpreneur, who is Mr. Matai Tames from Matai Trading in Kiribati. If we could move to the next slide, please. So Matai Trading has a mission to procure and sell top quality solar products and other eco-friendly solutions to the people of Kiribati and to accelerate the country's transition to a sustainable energy. It'll be interesting to hear about the differences across the two regions. So over to Matai. Oh, please unmute yourself, Matai.
Can everyone hear me now?
Yes.
Hello everyone, and Mel from Kiribati. So thank you, Esther and the panel, for giving me this opportunity to pitch my business during this Global Green Week. Yes, the Matai Trading is, we specialize in off-grid solar products, and we're trying to serve the underserved people, especially in the Kiribati, in the outer islands and the rural areas. Next slide, please. Next slide. The problem, as you can see there, the problem in Kiribati now is unreliable energy, the use of fossil fuel, which pollutes the air and make people sick. We have fossil fuel, which we know it contributes to climate change, and Kiribati is only 3 meters above the sea level, which has a lot of impact to the land and the fresh water. Thank you. Next slide, please. You can see there's me and some of my off-grid solar products, and our solution to this problem is to provide the solar power to replace fossil fuel in Kiribati, as Kiribati is leading the way. Next slide, please. You can see there me and some of my customers from Qatar and Djibouti. And yes, so we're trying, my vision is to be the leading supplier of solar products in Kiribati, especially off-grid solar products. Next slide, please. Matai Trading mission is to procure top solar products and other eco-friendly solutions to the people of Kiribati. And we know that Kiribati is trying to transition, and we are part of that country's transition to sustainable energy. Next slide, please. Those are some of our products. As you can see there, they are very cheap. We have only $20, and our reliable sunlight home kit, which is only $190. Thank you. Next slide, please. You can see on the picture there, there's the picture of our front road show that we're usually doing for the time being now. And why off-grid solar? What is our competitive advantage? And I would say people in Kiribati, the employment is low and there's not much opportunity for work. So off-grid solar is cheap and it's very portable and durable. We have mobile charging stations, easily accessible, and we source them from the top suppliers from the US, which is Greenlight Planet. Next slide, please. Our impacts, the impacts that we've been contribute to the people of Kiribati is now some shops in the outer islands can still run their business during nighttime. Businesses and fishermen can still sell their fish even at night. Kids now still have the opportunity to study at night, and moms can still call their families and kids overseas anytime they want, just by charging their mobiles to our off-grid solar product. Thank you. Next slide, please. All right. I think I'm coming to the end of my slides, and I would like to thank everyone for giving me this opportunity. And if you have any questions, you can ask later on in the questions. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Matai. That was great. And well done on the timing as well. It's I think for everybody, I should have said at the start, it's always difficult to pitch your business, and for all of you, yeah, we really appreciate the time that you are taking to share your passion with all of us. Okay, great. And without further ado, I would like to welcome Ms. Lana Athanase, the founder of Eclat Nova Luxuries. Her self-motivation, quest for excellence, and need to positively impact her country of Dominica into an eco-destination ignited the catalyst which led to conceptualize and realize her lifelong dream of owning a business, hence the birth of her business. So I'd like to invite Lana to give her pitch.
Thank you. Envision a tropical island, black sandy beaches, dark green mountainous peaks, dense forests laden with fruit trees and herbs. Have you guessed well? It's my homeland, Dominica, nature island of the Caribbean, a world-class eco-destination. Hi, I'm Lana Athanase, founder of Eclat Nova Luxuries, where we specialize in sustainable, plant-powered botanical skincare and eco-living products. Next slide. Having had first-hand experience from a young age in Dominica's artisan industry, embedded in me a strong and deep appreciation for handmade sustainable products, a passion which ignited my drive to become an entrepreneur at the age of 14, which eventually led to my decision to embark upon an entrepreneurial journey many years later, and to realize my brand's official launch in October 2019. I would ultimately complete my transition from a successful corporate career spanning 26 years in banking and finance to a full-time entrepreneur, making a bold career switch a year ago to realize my lifelong dream. Next slide. Building a strong brand FA was important to us. Our discoveries revealed that our nature island was underrepresented in natural skincare products. No eco-resorts use locally made bath amenities for their guests. Few local businesses made botanical skincare, and persons suffering from skin conditions relied on commercial treatments. Our mission was clear. We needed to save Dominica, remedy its human resources while gifting a part of the island in our products to the world. After all, this is the nature island. We set out and created handmade, luxurious, all-natural specialty products using traditional and modern fusions in 4 botanical skincare lines: facial, aromatherapy, superfoods, and fruits, comprising of botanical soaps, facial clays and massage oils, hair and body butters, and aromatherapy candles. Next slide. Most of our raw ingredients are grown in our domestic gardens, while others are sustainably sourced from local farmers who practice organic farming, and from companies with globally recognized high ethical standards. Our products are free from harmful ingredients and assist in resolving skin issues, including eczema and hyperpigmentation. Next 2 slides. They are among the preferred gifting choices at our airports lounges and corporate clients, including visiting diplomats. Our corporate gifting baskets are supplied by the Kalinagos, Dominica's indigenous people, and Abilities Unlimited workshop for the blind. Our gifting boxes are made from recycled, naturally dyed paper and from repurposed cardboard boxes. These activities have assisted in managing a low carbon footprint. We have also recently installed biodegradable packaging film for our soaps. Next slide. Our award-winning team has led us to achieve great wins. Over the past 2 years, our achievements include certifications, awards, grants, entrepreneurial workshops and missions, with the most recent being India. With the most recent being to India in September, where I was a speaker at the Maui conference and exhibition and lent support to other women entrepreneurs and established key business contacts. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. We are gradually moving into our brand's vision, which includes scaling beyond borders, and have taken some relevant steps within our scope amidst the common hurdles which MSMEs often face. Next slide. These include unavailable designated production space, high costs of shipping and of imported and local ingredients, insufficient commercial production equipment, among others. To strengthen and guarantee our brand's viability, we seek to implement and operate a robust sustainability plan where the business can be more self-sufficient and gain on efficiencies. We welcome the guidance and coaching from related experts who will assist us in expanding and realizing this green vision. Next slide. Next slide. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Lana, for that very powerful presentation. With that, I'm very impressed as well. All of the presenters have been very much on time, which is excellent. So well done. It's not easy. All right. And now, last but certainly not least of our Greenpreneurs, I'd like to introduce Ms. Nahida Magbul from the General Manager of Zona United, which is a Fijian agribusiness selling premium Fijian spices branded as Zorganic, which includes turmeric, cinnamon, ginger powder, and capsule forms of the above. I would now like to invite Nahida to introduce, and I believe we also have a video that she'll be requesting to play. Over to you, Nahida.
Hi, Esther. Could we have the video played first, if that's all right? Hello? Esther, could you hear me?
Yes, I'm just checking if the video is coming up.
Okay, thank you.
Are we able to? Yeah, okay, great. have the video off? Okay, so I believe Nahida's time is up. Thank you. Great, so now we will progress to hear from the expert panel, please. I'd like to invite them one by one to give some feedback and advice on how these greenpreneurs we've just heard from can most effectively unlock their growth potential to sustainably scale their businesses for impact. Kindly requesting if we can try to keep the comments quick as well, as we've got about 17 minutes left in the session. So I'd first like to invite Kusi to share his thoughts, please.
Great. Thank you, Esther, and thank you for having me. And thank you to the entrepreneurs for inspiring us with your stories and efforts. I'll share 4 reflections that I think are just general and cross-cutting, and then 1 reflection for each of the entrepreneurs based on what you presented. So the first is, I think, to really start scaling or create a business model that has potential to scale, I think you need to understand what is the core value proposition to your customers. This is basic, but there's a framework I often use with small and growing businesses called the 4 A's, which talks about awareness, access, advantage, and affordability. Awareness means, are your customers aware of your product or service? Access means, do they have the ability to actually buy it if they are aware of it and they see some benefit of it? Advantage means, is there a real advantage to that product or service? And then affordability means, are you really pricing it at a means that's affordable to the way they live and their livelihood? So for me, it starts with understanding your customer and creating those 4 A's for them. I think thinking about impact and scaling these green businesses, you also need to think about all the stakeholders you're serving and not just your customer, thinking about your suppliers, thinking about your labor, and also the communities you work. I'm sure you're doing that already, but I think in this new era of stakeholder economics, it's important to think about all of your stakeholders. Third, and covered a lot in my book, if you're interested in learning more, is try to find appropriate financing. Oftentimes financiers, as you probably well know, have very cookie cutter approaches to thinking about different businesses, particularly small businesses, and often those cookie cutter approaches don't match innovative or disruptive or non-traditional businesses financing needs. And I think that's important, that you don't just accept or change your business to meet their needs, but actually try to find the right type of financing. It's not easy to do, but I think there is the right type of capital out there. Fourth, I would say it's important to leverage data and technical assistance to actually understand how your business is performing over time and pivot, learn from that data and that technical assistance that you can get through grant programs like the one you're participating in now to help you sort of pivot your business and make sure that you really do create that core value proposition. Sticking with the time, reflections for each of you. So light, Ricardo, thank you. I think what I'm worried about a little bit for you is a technical risk of the new business that you're trying to finance, this sort of turning waste using solar into energy. It seems like you have a good business model with some of the other core business activities you're engaged in, and it sounds like you're having difficulty raising financing. I wonder if you can use some of the financing from those cash generating businesses to finance some of your new business, if you really believe that has high potential. For Matai Trading, it's a space that I know well, the off-grid solar distribution. I think one thing that could help you would be to get a working capital line of credit from a bank, so you don't have to go one-off to every time get financing, because it's a very working capital intensive business that you're in. And so if you could get a line of credit, that would help you grow. To Eklat, very inspiring presentation. Thank you for that. I think one thought that I had for you was, could you find partnership to help distribute your product, bundling perhaps with other products that have better name recognition, perhaps out of the market that you're working in? And I also thought about digital marketing. I've had a lot of young people have been very successful, particularly through the COVID period, of using social media to sort of bundle and place their products into new spaces and draw awareness to the brand. And so since it's a consumer or a good that needs to be, brand is a big part of your value in terms of pricing, I think I'm wondering if you can create digital marketing and partnerships. And then last, for Zona, it strikes me that critical to your business is the suppliers for the spices. And so I think about whether or not they're actually benefiting too from your business, and if you actually understand the value that you're creating for them. And so I'm wondering if you could make the stronger case of how much value is being created for the, like, I think I'm presuming it's smallholder farmers. I may be wrong, it may be an estate or plantation, but if they are small farmers and they're supplying you with what you're basically converting into a finished product and selling, they're going to be critical to your business. So they need to see the value of being your partner. So building that long-term value creation by proving to them that you're actually improving their lives, I think is going to be helpful to scale your business. I'll stop there. Thank you. Thank you for the time.
Thanks so much, Kusi. That's a really interesting, that's a very useful framework with the 4 A's, and appreciate your practical application to these businesses. So thank you very much for starting us off with those. Excellent. So I would now like to invite Ms. Keisha Farnan to give her thoughts and feedback, please.
Very much like Chrissy, I am, it takes a lot of bravery to put yourself out there and to, come out on sessions like this. It's live, it's nerve-wracking. So kudos to you. Kudos for how far you've come. At CCSA, we always tend to try to celebrate what we did well first. And I think for me, I understood what all of the businesses were about. And I think that's a start. So in looking at your pitch, I was able to understand what it is that you were doing and what it is that you were trying to put out to the audience. I think what I'm going to do too as well is just give some general pointers and then kind of hone in on some specific stuff and try to keep to time. But I think in general, and I know this seems like a no-brainer, but preparing a strong pitch, it does come from a compelling business plan. And I think what tends to happen is that particularly when businesses are scaling, they would have already done an original business plan and they kind of leverage that business plan to do their new pitch. But every time you decide to scale a business and you're seeking new financing, you need to do a new business plan. That business plan has to qualitatively and quantitatively highlight what the market opportunity is, what's your unique value proposition, but most importantly, it needs to present that sound financial argument for how you plan to scale and how you plan to manage it sustainably. Because she talked about networks and being able to network effectively. In the Caribbean, we generally tend to say that it's not who you know, but who knows you. And so, making sure that you have access to green business, impact investing, workshops, conferences. And honestly, thanks to Zoom, you can join things virtually, globally, and really join a network where you could have access to potential investors, other businesses that are doing the same thing as you, or even other businesses that are part of your value chain. And you are going to realize that building those relationships are often as important as having a great business idea. In terms of identifying impact investors, so again, just reiterating what Kushi said in terms of making sure that you find people who have the same ethos as you. They're focused on the same thing. But I will say there is one fundamental truth, and an impact investor is still an investor, and he's still looking to make a profit. Impact investors are looking to do good and do well, and it's really important that we don't forget the do well part. So while the vision, the mission, the game-changing elements, the innovations, and the inclusion of cross-cutting themes of gender, diversity, social inclusion, all of these things are really important. There is actually a financial element attached to this too, because many financiers are looking for projects that have these elements properly integrated because it's tied to their ESG targets. And so in looking at how you scale your opportunity, including these elements in a very concrete way that is very easy to demonstrate to them how they can meet their own targets by investing in your business. The last thing that I would comment on, the return on investment, is really important to be able to quantify that. But also I think what's really important is that you need to be able to quantify your asks. What are you asking for? And how is it disaggregated? So for example, if you're asking for debt, at what cost? If you're asking for equity, how much of your company are you willing to put up? And if you're seeking both, what's the ratio between the two? And while, of course, it's not a cookie cutter approach and all businesses, there's not this one formula that you can use, there are a couple of general principles that, kind of determine what the optimal mix of debt and equity is. So consider what the industry standard is for your industry. If you are far outside of the industry standard, that tends to generally be a red flag for investors, and it tells them that you haven't done your homework. Look at the risk tolerance of your investor, but also examine your own risk tolerance, right? There are certain advantages, disadvantages to debt and equity when it comes to risk. What is your investor's preference? So some investors prefer to have an equity stake, some prefer to have a debt stake, depending on what it is that you're using the money to scale. Your cash flows, your earnings, and Kushi mentioned that in terms of Ricardo's project, the growth stage. So where are you at what stage are you with your project? If you're kind of in that early startup stage still, then equity financing might be the best option for you. If you're further along and you're looking at capital investments, maybe debt would be better for you. And then, of course, the use of funds, your own flexibility, and a balance of diversity, balance and diversification. So make sure that you kind of strive to have that perfect mix of risk, making sure that your debt and equity is balanced and stable. For me, I think making sure that the numbers are there, because most financiers, that's the language they think in. So when you present data to them, yes, you have to present an impassionate story, good pictures, that kind of stuff, but make sure you have the numbers, and that can be short, quick, punchy, and then you have supporting documents on the back end because you've grasped their attention, and then you could share additional information. So I think I'll pause there. I hope I haven't exceeded my time.
Thank you, Keisha, for those very, very useful thoughts. I like that. It's not just about who you know, but also who knows you, and of course, considering the financing and potential, the best way to move forward in terms of growth through financing. Excellent. So last but certainly not least on our panel of experts, I would like to invite Mr. Gerard Field, who has a lot of banking sector specialization, to share his thoughts and feedback for the Greenpreneurs. Over to you, Gerard.
Thank you, Esther, and the aura to everybody here from New Zealand. Thank you to the entrepreneurs for their inspiring pitches. I thought they were fantastic. Kusi and Keisha have had some really great points, so I won't reiterate those. As an ex-banker and someone who had people come in and pitching to me for debt financing, what was really important to me was the value, was the mission. If someone came in and pitched something to me that they just wanted to make money out of, well, that was interesting, but I needed to see the passion and the determination to succeed. So it was something that I really looked for in these pitches, and I think I see that in the four of you and what you've done there. So well done. Be confident in what you do, and as Keisha has said, be well prepared. As a banker, as an accountant, I always want to go and have a look at the detail. I want to see the numbers. I want to see how it works. I want to see how I'm, as a debt financier, I'm going to be repaid. So cash flow is important. Profit's important. Knowing your business is important. So if I ask you a question about your business, be really well prepared and know what the answer is. That gives confidence to a banker that you understand your business. So those things I think you've got. I know when I was mentoring in the Pacific and the GTGI Greenpreneurs, a lot of my mentees didn't have accounting packages, didn't know what their cash flow was, didn't have bank accounts. So again, Fusi's comment to you, Matai, about a working capital line, absolutely kind of spot on. So that's kind of a general kind of response to all. I think you're quite well advanced in your businesses, so I think you probably know a lot of that, but it's worth being reminded. Just a couple of questions for each of you. Ricardo, I thought your project was amazing. What you've done in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, putting the solar panels in. Again, I come back to maybe Kusi's question about the waste and the power generation of that. That's quite technical. That's quite specific, and there's a whole lot of questions around that I'd be asking. But first one would be the payback period of these kind of things. Is how long? What's the big upfront cost to your client, and what's their payback period going to look like? Waste is a big issue. I know from my time in the Pacific, it's always hard to get rid of. A lot of it comes in, tourists bring it in. Getting rid of it is hard work. So I think that's a good solution. Just needs, I think, a bit of work around what it looks like. Matai, I know your business well. I think you're doing a really great job up there. And I think what Kusi and Keisha said is actually spot on. Lana and Dominica, what an amazing place. I need to get there. Fantastic what you're doing there. I know eczema was a big issue when I was up in the Pacific, so it's great to see that you're addressing that. Just had a couple of thoughts here, how big can you scale that business? I'm not sure the size of Dominica and, getting the raw ingredients for it, getting the manufacturing on island. And then just a thought occurred to me, one of the things that you hear a lot of is the waste from people leaving the little bars of soap in their hotel rooms, and whether you've kind of thought about how you can get that soap back and reimagine it into something else or use it again, so we're not creating waste for it. But a great business and well done. Well done for getting out of banking. And Nahida, love that business too. I think you're doing great stuff up there. I think your packaging looks amazing. I just want to go out and buy your spices. One thing that did occur to me though, as I was looking at it, was I think you use glass in your packaging. A lot of the herbs, spices that you buy in New Zealand are now come in cardboard boxes in plastic biodegradable bags. The cost of shipping glass around the world must be quite expensive. You probably ship it into Fiji and ship it out of Fiji. So maybe just think about your packaging, keep it really smart looking, but maybe lessening the cost of your glass packaging. Well done, guys. Well done, everybody. I think you've done an amazing job, and it's been a real pleasure being part of this panel and part of what you guys are doing. Back to you, Esther.
Thank you, Gerard. That was a really great way to wrap up the panel. Really appreciate the input from all of the panelists, and also reiterate, it is really scary to be here and to be presenting your business and your passion in front of people. So thank you so much to the Greenpreneurs, and thank you to the experts for sharing some very practical advice, which is all really useful, I'm sure. I would now like to formally wrap up the session. I would like to hand over to Ms. Katerina Singalakis, who is GGGI's Pacific Regional Managing Director. So over to you, Katerina.
Thank you, Esther. What an inspiring journey it's been over the last hour. It's really been a pleasure to listen in today, and I've been following the Greenpreneurs in the Pacific and Caribbean from the beginning 3 years ago. And today, I think we've listened to some very good examples of the ingenuity, the resilience, the dedication of Greenpreneurs from the Caribbean and the Pacific Islands, and a showcase of remarkable visions, solutions, and the power of collective action in driving environmental sustainability. So the 4 Greenpreneurs who share their innovative businesses today have, in solar energy, waste to energy, off-grid solar, organic, botanical, skincare and eco products, and of course the organic agri-spices. I mean, that's a real journey across different ways to transform our businesses and society to a sustainable and green economy. These entrepreneurs, you're not just shaping your business, you're shaping the future of our islands and the world at large. Our heartfelt gratitude goes also to the panel of experts who provided valuable feedback today, to the Greenpreneurs. Thank you for your guidance, and to those of you who are also mentors in our Greenpreneurs program, thank you very much for that. Together, we are witnessing a fusion of knowledge and creativity, and the result is nothing short of inspiring. As I have the pleasure of bringing the session to a close, it's really my hope that we all leave here today with a renewed sense of purpose and an invigorated commitment to the cause of sustainability. Our world faces a lot of challenges, but as we've seen today, there are solutions, and those give us a lot of hope for the future. I would also like to thank the Qatar Fund for Development, who have supported the Greenpreneurs programs in the Pacific and the Caribbean. So let's take our stories and ideas from the panel today and carry them forward, support them as they grow and evolve, and be inspired also in our own work, everyday work, to find solutions and support green entrepreneurship wherever we see it. In the words of Margaret Mead, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Katerina. So with that, I would like to thank everyone once again and bring the session formally to a close. And just before we do that, my colleague has already typed in the chat, and I will send it again. We would really appreciate if you can spare a minute or two to complete a very quick survey, so we can improve the session in future for the next sessions. Thank you again, and enjoy the rest of your day or evening. Goodbye.